back when Louise and I lived in Germany, this is back in the 80s, we lived in West Germany, back when there was a West Germany. In fact, we lived right up near the border. We lived in two different towns. We spent most of our time in Steinach, which was near Kulmbach, if you're familiar with it. Probably the most famous town is Bayern, B-A-Y-E-R-N, which was the home to all kinds of Beethoven festivals and all kinds of weird stuff. But, you know, it's kind of it's the southern part of the Franconian forest or the northern part of Bavaria. And so, one of the major German newspapers, and certainly one of the more conservative ones, actually, because it was the southern German newspaper. It's literally what its name means, Süddeutsche Zeitung, South Deutsche German Zeitung newspaper. The Süddeutsche Zeitung was the paper that we used to get. And I would read it out loud as a way of practicing my German when I was fairly fluent in German that year that we lived there. And I never thought I would see this kind of an article coming out of Süddeutsche Zeitung. This was published on the 4th of April, a week and a half ago or thereabouts, or I guess about a little more than 2 weeks ago. And it's over the byline of Michaela Haas. And she's just calling out the American media. And when you think about it, I mean, that this is how the rest of the world looks at us, it's really kind of shocking. She writes, when Trump said he would pull out of NATO if elected president, U.S. TV news broadcasts spent less than 6 minutes on the story. In the same period, they spent over 21 minutes on Biden's advanced age. Seriously, I mean, think about that. 6 minutes about pulling out of NATO, something that could lead to World War III. 21 minutes on Biden's age. She goes on, in 2016, more broadcast time was spent on Hillary's sloppy email management than on all of Trump's scandals combined. Whoa. She writes, when Trump said he would use, or in the Süddeutsche Zeitung, in the southern German newspaper here, when Trump said he would use the military to stifle political opposition, the Associated Press reported a headline, quote, Trump intends a wider role for the military. In other words, the propaganda is just, you know, the media is just, you know, well, the Associated Press in this case, just going along with Trump. Yeah, fascism is normal. She continues, the U.S. population largely believes the Trump propaganda that the economy is in the dumps due to Biden, whereas the truth is historically low unemployment and strong GDP growth. She notes, local radio broadcasters constantly report on a crime wave caused by immigration, whereas the truth is that U.S.-born citizens have double the crime statistics of undocumented immigrants. She writes in the South German newspaper, the Süddeutsche Zeitung, 6 years ago, 1/4 of Trump voters believed the 2020 election was stolen. The number today is 70%. Now, if anybody understands how the big lie works, it's Germans. She goes on to say, 3/4 of all voters today do not know that Trump called his political opponents vermin and promised mass deportations on the first day of his presidency. Which raises the question, if 100% of American voters knew that instead of only 25%, would that increase or decrease support for Trump? I don't know. And then finally, she says, online news is driven by algorithms to maximize clickbait. People don't know what to believe, and it becomes cynical and apathetic. The most important duty of the press, to inform people, has been lost. Amazing article in the South German, the Süddeutsche Zeitung. Just fascinating. So, you know, the rest of the world has got our number, and they know who Trump is and what he's up to. It's just, you know, here in America where we've been inflicted with the poison of the Murdoch family and their Fox so-called news. Meanwhile, Democrats are doing well. Democrats are doing really well. Nikki Haley has suspended her campaign 2 months ago. I said 6 months ago in the last hour. My apologies. It was 2 months ago. 2 months ago, Nikki Haley suspended her campaign, but she was still on the ballot in Pennsylvania last night, right? The ballots were printed long before she She canceled her campaign. And as of 2 a.m., over 155,000 Republican voters in Pennsylvania had chosen to vote for Nikki Haley. She got 155,000 votes. Trump got 786,000 votes. So that's 83 to 17. Trump won. But he lost 17% of the vote. Haley got 17% of the vote despite not even being in the race. This was yesterday's election. And the overall turnout, by the way, was higher for Democrats than it was for Republicans. And Biden was on the ticket. He got 93% of the Democratic vote. Trump only got 83% of the Republican vote. In one district, this was Olsamer versus Skibber, names that probably mean nothing to you. These are just local Democratic politicians, or Pennsylvania politicians in a special election running for Congress. This is a seat that's very, very Republican. And the Republican, Olsamer, picked up 60% of the vote versus Skibber's 39.7%. But, so in other words, the Republican won, as expected. But the Republican won by 7 points less than the Republican won 2 years ago. People are paying attention. People are really starting to pay attention, and this is all in line with, you know, other things that show that there is a decided shift. I mean, we've had special election after special election after special election in red states, blue states, purple states, all over the country. And everywhere you look, more and more people are voting Democratic, which, of course, is why Republicans are purging people off the voting rolls as fast as they possibly can. They just, you know, got to get this done, right? We've got to prevent people from voting, because when people vote, they vote Democratic. And, you know, people just do not want that. Or, excuse me, the Republicans do not want that. The people want that. There's no doubt about that. It's amazing. Trump Media's CEO is begging the House GOP for help. The value of DJT, is the stock ticker, continues to collapse. I might buy it when it reaches 10 cents. But I think when they drop below $1, they delist them. You know, I don't know if that's the rule for all the exchanges. And I believe this one is traded on the NASDAQ, or maybe it's the S&P. I'm pretty sure that's the rule for the Dow, is when it gets below $1. But these poor suckers, you know, who invested in this. Oh yeah, Donald Trump, he's the next best, you know, let's give him our money, you know. It's sad. It's really sad.